Okay, great. So our final topic today is about messaging and meeting up, okay? And this is one poll question I've got for you now that provokes a lot of debate, okay? Who should pay on the first date? Should you go Dutch or should the man pay? Okay, what do you think? Should the man pay on a first date or should you go Dutch and split the bill? There's one to ponder. So, Kate, you've had lovely photos taken, you've written your profile. The next step is to exchange messages and hopefully fix that all-important date. Can you give us, please, your all-knowing, goddess-like wisdom on messaging?
I wrote that down for Julie to say.
I like saying it.
Right. So how I recommend you do messaging. So if you've had a friend who's done online dating and has got a bit negative about it, the chances are they're going to be telling you things like, I send a lot of messages and no one replies to me, or I spend all my time crafting this perfect, lovely message and I get like a smiley face in reply and I'm getting really frustrated about the whole thing. How I recommend you do messaging avoids all the pitfalls like that. So okay. I found that this worked really well. So how I recommend you do messaging. Number one, set a messaging time. So set aside a time of the week to message everyone you like at once. We're talking batch messaging. Don't make this at the weekend. Don't do this on Friday or Saturday night, because if your profile's saying I'm vivacious and outgoing with a wonderful social life, but you're typing me a message on a Friday night, I'm going to think, how busy and popular are you really? So do it on a boring time of the week, like a kind of Monday night or a Tuesday lunchtime. Send lots of messages. Everyone you like, send them a message. They're not going to be very long messages, so don't think you're going to get RSI or anything after this, because the messages are going to be quite short. But everyone you like, send them a message. Everyone you think you might like, send them a message. Okay, don't get too fussy. Keep those first messages short. Research by another dating website found the shortest first messages got the most responses. In fact, the perfect length for that first message was 49 characters, which is nothing. That's about 10 words. So this is what I mean about you can afford to send out a lot of first messages because you're not going to be investing too much time in each message. So it's not going to be this big drain on your day. And number 4, don't get too invested. So lots of people aren't going to reply to your message. It's not you, it's them. It's just the way of online dating. Don't see it as a rejection. It's literally how it is. Try and see the messages that you're sending not as kind of as things that deserve a reply or that you're only sending to get a reply, but just make them positive. This sounds a bit new agey, but like positive things that you're sending out. If you can send out something that makes somebody else smile, then that's a good thing that you're doing. And you're also telling yourself over and over again that you're open to finding a new relationship. So every action that you take, like sending a message, is just positive reinforcement. If you disagree with that, feel free to comment, because but everyone gets, number 5, everyone gets a personal message. So some people, and men, I'm talking to you, some people quickly think that maybe it'd be more efficient to write one brilliant message and then just mail shot it to absolutely everyone that I like. Women, if you've ever had that, you can smell it, can't you? You can taste it when that message was not designed specifically for you. So don't send generic copy and paste messages. Spend your time doing the short but personal messages to each person, because otherwise it's kind of insulting to get a message that you know was meant for 100 other people as well.
Okay, great. We've got a lot of questions about messaging as well, because it's obviously something that makes people quite nervous. Peter Pan is asking, what is the best approach in that very simple first message?
Hey, Peter Pan. You want to make it easy for someone to reply to your message and make it fun for someone to reply to your message. Nothing too challenging, nothing that's just about their appearance, because if you get a message saying, wow, you look absolutely amazing, I mean, it's lovely and flattering, and don't get me wrong, it's nice to get, but it's kind of impersonal. And how do we reply to that? Like, yeah, I know, or oh my God, no, I don't. It's awful. So a question that would be fun and easy to answer, ideally, obviously, relating to their profile. So I've written down some examples.
Okay.
So a compliment followed by a question. So something like, love your hiking photo. Where was that taken? Or epic sunset shot. Was that a pretty amazing day? I went a bit American when I wrote that, but you know what I mean? Like, I look at lovely sunset. You look really happy in that picture. Was that a good day you're having? Cute dog. Is that your dog? Saw your guitar photo. Tell me about your playing. Have you played for a while? Are you in a band? Or your job sounds interesting. What exactly does a billionaire rocket scientist do? Show that you've read their profile. I've heard good things about the town that you live in. Do you like living there? That kind of thing. So, and literally that long. But also put a smiley face in, because research shows, again, smiley faces work really well online. Even if you're the kind of person that would recoil from the idea of using a smiley face, try it in your messages. Just try.
Interesting. Okay. Bruce, Ian, Roger, Graham, and Robert Fugassi, apologies if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, all asked, how do I get people to reply to my messages?
So, two things you have to remember. One, only start messaging when you've got your profile as best as it can be, because as you know, when someone sends you a message, the first thing you do when you get that message is to click onto their profile. So you need to make sure that there's nothing in that profile like the bad spelling or the unflattering photo or the shadowy face photo, nothing that's going to immediately put them off, because even the most brilliant first message isn't going to be strong enough to counteract a bad profile. So I want you to go back to your profile. I want you to change the photos to the ones that we've recommended here tonight, and get your friend to read your profile to make sure that you've ironed out everything before you send a single more message. Get your profile looking lovely and shiny. That's step one. And step two is write to a wider range of people. It's quite easy for sometimes the top 2% of desirable people on a website to get 80% of the messages. But again, this isn't like a shopping channel where you can find the perfect person. If someone lives in your town, is around the same age as you, shares 2 or 3 of your hobbies, and their photo looks okay and their profile sounds all right, that person genuinely could be the one for you. So make sure you're writing to the girls next door as well as the kind of supermodel types, because men can sometimes get a little bit carried away by those glamorous women. But the thing that happens, or if you're a glamorous woman, I never was, but I've heard about it, they're getting so many messages that they literally can't reply, and it gives you the unfair impression that your message wasn't very good, and it isn't that. It's just literally they're getting so many. So
they're swamped almost.
Cast your net wide, just because remember, it's just a first message. It's 49 characters, not a big deal. And then get some chat going.
Okay, great. I've got a question from Nikki, but just one's pinged in from Kaz, which is an interesting one. Kaz says, who should message first?
I love that you've asked this. So first time I did online dating, I messaged who became my first husband first. Second time I did online dating, I left it. So I only replied to the people that messaged me. I think it depends on the kind of person that you want to be in the relationship. Do you want to be the dynamic one who's making all the decisions, who's pushing the relationship forward, who's suggesting where you go for the first date, who possibly might be slightly more invested in the other person? If you're like a kind of, there's an amazing book called Getting to I Do by Dr. Patricia Allen. So you need to read this book, Getting to I Do, Dr. Patricia Allen. She talks about masculine and feminine energy. So in every relationship, whether it's 2 men, 2 women, man, woman, whatever, there'll be a masculine and a feminine energy. The person who pursues writing the first message is the masculine energy. And she has a quiz that you can do to work out if you're going to be comfortable in that role. First time around, I thought I was a single, independent woman who could know what she wanted. It really didn't work out, because that whole relationship, I was always kind of wanting him to step in, well, I've initiated this much. Could you start initiating now? But he was just really laid back, which over the course of that relationship just didn't work out. I wanted, it turned out, to be with someone who occasionally would step in and say, okay, I've had a really good idea. I think that we should do this. So second time around, I just put all my time and attention into the flattering picture, the intriguing profile text, batch messaging, not spending too much time online, and let people contact me, because I kind of figured if my photo has attracted them enough so they've contacted me, then they are slightly invested and will probably, you know, be willing to take on at least 50% of the effort in this relationship. And my husband was perfect. So he messaged me. I took ages to reply just because I'd gone on holiday and wasn't checking it. And then he organized our first date. He like did a Google map of my town and found this pub with a really quirky name, and, you know, booked us a table and arranged everything. And that was who I was looking for at that time. So it depends. The masculine and feminine thing can change as you get older, because as men's testosterone, sorry guys, as that declines after about 40, you might find that you're happy taking a more passive role in a relationship. And women, as your estrogen declines after 50, you might find that you become more energized and kind of like go-getty. So you might find that it's different now. So I would suggest you buy that book and take the quiz and find out, and then follow that. So if you're masculine energy, you write to everyone. If you're feminine energy, concentrate on replying to the people that have approached you.
Excellent. And thank you, Kaz, for a really good question. Nikki's got a good one as well. She's got two, actually. The first one, Nikki is 53, and she says, how do I find engaging questions that are most likely to solicit a response?
Right, I want you to scour that profile like a detective and notice the things that someone has chosen to write about themselves. Because imagine in a lifetime of possible experiences or stories or whatever that they could have spoken about, they've chosen to list, you know, some of them. And those are probably things that are most important to them, or make them smile or make them happy. So I would focus on what they've written about and ask a question about that. It's like when, on a first date, like you want to find something that gets people all, like the light behind their eyes. Do that. Yeah,
great. Nikki also asks another really good question, which is, how do you let someone down gently who's messaged you but whom you're not interested in?
It depends why you're not interested in. Just make sure you haven't gone too shallow and fussy. Like I always found, I mean, your experience may differ, but I always found personally that men's photos never did them justice. So if someone wrote me a nice message, but I wasn't that sure about their picture, I would meet them for one date just to see, because generally they were much better looking in person. If it's that they've written something offensive, then obviously you just block, delete, and report that to the site admins. You don't need to worry about, just block and delete and report. But if it's just it's really not going to work for you, it's not at all, then just say, thank you so much for your message. I don't feel we're a good match, because no one can talk you out of your feelings. So don't say, I don't think we're a good match because we've got nothing in common, because he'll only argue and try and win you round. I don't feel we're a good match. Say that.
Yeah, very good. That's undisputed. Really good. Okay, Angela 60 is asking, why do so many people use kiss kiss or call you hun, HUN, on the first chat? Is it just me that finds it so off-putting? So many familiarities are used before you've even started to chat. This is not attracting me to start chats. Angela, I've got to fess up here. I am guilty of putting excess on emails. And the funny thing is, in my defense, if you're used to doing that, when you stop doing it, it feels like you're being unfriendly.
It's really rude, doesn't it? It feels like you're just being... I love this question. And I guess Angela hates this over familiarity, maybe because she feels pressured to respond in kind. And when I did online dating a second time around, I was quite surprised at how men's messages have changed. Like the first time I did online dating in 2009, men would not use text messaging. It was just like girly things. My fingers are too big. Second time around, they were like texting, all right, beautiful, like first thing in the morning, and it put me off. Angela, you're not under any pressure to respond in the same kind of way. Just try and see it as a compliment. You're pretty. If he's trying to be complimentary, if it really puts you off, then obviously you don't have to go any further, but it's a small thing to worry about in the grand scheme.
Yeah, good one. Question from two women now. You may have just covered this, but I'll say it. Mitch and Woo would like to know how to respond to inappropriate messages.
Yeah, report them to the admin and then block and delete. It's important that you do report things like that, because the website needs to know if someone's going around offending lots of people. Let the website know. So do report it, but then block, delete. Don't go any further. Don't try and tell them off Don't give them a
Okay.
piece of your mind, just ignore them.
Okay, great. So people have exchanged messages now, Kate. When should they go on a date? And if you can just touch I know we're running to nearly our hour, but just briefly mention video dating as well, because I think it's after 4 messages, you can video date on Ourtime, which is great.
Right, I never did video dating because it wasn't around when I did it second time around. But like, if God forbid it came to third time around, I would be on that video messaging like, oh my God, it's absolutely brilliant. You can see so much about someone on a video. I mean, you've made so many, like, you've got to know me better than you ever would just from my photo and anything. So do as much as you can, use the video messaging. So after you've exchanged 4 messages, suggest that you meet for a video thing. Don't spring it on someone, because I can't imagine anything worse than someone that I quite like the look of all of a sudden video messaging me when I'm face pack, haven't washed my hair for 2 days. No. So I recommend you do everything you can to move things forward to a date. So a video message and a date within the first 6 to 10 messages, because you can only sense if you have physical attraction for someone in person, and you don't want to do what I used to do quite a lot, which is fall in love with someone's messages and then only to discover in person that, physically that's never going to happen. So do it within 6 to 10 messages, arrange a date. Meeting in person also weeds out a lot of the people that you don't want to be wasting your time on, like anyone who's on the site for the wrong reason, or someone who just wants a pen pal. They're not going to want to arrange a date with you. So within 6 to 10 messages, you've only wasted 6 to 10 messages. If you ask them out for a date and they disappear, you haven't lost any time. Meeting in person cheers you up. There has been research by psychologists that shows that talking to someone about yourself, someone you don't know very well, you describe yourself in a much more upbeat and positive way than you would when you're kind of talking about yourself to a very old friend. So psychologically, it actually makes you see yourself as more positive and upbeat. And online dating now, you can meet as many people for first dates as you like. You're not exclusive. It's kind of like dating was in the 40s and 50s, where you could see a lot of people for a first date and then decide. This is like that. So you can meet people. You have the ability. You're not locked in. So get out there. Get on dates.
Excellent. So how do you go about asking someone out on that first date?
So remember your masculine or feminine energy. And if you are the masculine energy that's going out there asking people out, scour their profile for something that they enjoy doing and literally just suggest it. But so, okay, we're going to move right on to, so suggest something that they like doing as a first date. So
yeah, what I was going to say, what do we do? What do you do? Yeah.
So the ideal first date is 90 minutes long. Any longer than that, well, 90 minutes is the sweet spot. It's the perfect time. So don't go for a meal on a first date, because if the physical attraction isn't there, you've got 3 courses to get through, and you're like wading through that soup thinking this is never going to work out. And like, no, don't put yourself through that. 90 minutes. So think of stuff like lunch, afternoon tea, coffee. They're all much better than dinner. Something that's short. But also it's easier to keep conversation going if you're doing an activity rather than just sitting across a table from each other eating. Because we also know that men and women open up much easier when they're side by side rather than the kind of traditional date. It's bad. We find that quite shy and intimidating. It's like an interrogation room.
Right.
So anything you can do that's side by side with someone, you'll find it much easier to chat. So walking around a gallery or an art museum, playing golf together, sitting next to each other, playing cards in a pub, all that kind of thing is a lot easier for you to talk.
Yeah, and it takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
It does, because you can say,
which is perfect.
Look over there, not, oh my God.
Safety tips?
Always meet in a public place. Arrange your own transport, so take your own transport there and back, no matter how lovely they are. He's not driving you home on the first date. Don't leave your drink unattended or your food, and tell someone where you're going, and make sure you tell them when you get back, which is obviously also when you can spill the beans and tell them how you get on.
Okay, great. How do people avoid time wasters?
One thing that is really frustrating when it comes to online dating, when you can talk to a lot of people, is sometimes people would do what I call bookmarking you. So that will be when you've been talking say Diane, you've been talking to a man called Simon for 6 to 10 messages, and you think it's going really well, and Simon comes out with the brilliant line, "What are you doing on Friday?" And you think, yeah, I've totally got a date with Simon. And so you get all excited, you tell all your friends, you buy like an outfit, and then Friday comes around and nothing happens. What has actually happened there is Simon has bookmarked you. So he's literally just pinned a possible time that you might get together, but hasn't taken it any further. But without that information, you don't know, did you have a date? Did you not? So what I do to avoid bookmarking is when Simon says to you, "Are you free on Friday?" Don't say yes or no, not yet. Say, "Oh, what did you have in mind?" So then Simon will come back with, "Well, actually, I was really hoping that I could take you to that new pub that's opened up in your town," or something. And you can go, "Oh, sounds great. What time?" And look, you're nailing down those details. And then he says about 7:30. Boom. Now you have a venue, a date, and a time, and it's not a bookmark. And you're both much more likely to commit and follow through with that. So don't let people take days with no confirmation. Nail down the details.
Great advice, Kate. I've just got a couple of really important extra questions. I know we're going to run slightly over, but we're allowed. We've got permission. Sarah is 58. She says, "I'm a successful, intelligent woman with 2 reasonably successful relationships behind me. Am I wrong to have deal breakers? I've done a lot of work on myself. I'm a therapist, so I'm pretty in tune with what I think I need from a partner."
Deal breakers are great, but don't have too many deal breakers. It's quite easy to use deal breakers as a way of delaying the process, or avoiding getting hurt, or waiting for some fictional person who's too good to ever come to life. So set deal breakers, but for things that are very specific and practical, like he must have a car, or he must live within 25 miles, or he mustn't smoke cigarettes. Things, very specific things like that. And I would keep more of an open mind with the other things, because sometimes you fall in love with people that you don't expect. And it's not because they're not wrong for you if they don't have specific things. It could just be you hadn't realized that you would be so happy with someone like that. Like, to bring it all back to me again, like I always do, my husband didn't go to university, and as you can tell, books and stuff, learning, really important. I would never have thought that I'd be happy with someone who didn't go to uni, but he is the brightest man, and everything he says is so annoying. Like, everything he says comes true and it's always right. But he didn't go to uni. So if I had set my deal breakers too tightly, I wouldn't have met him. So
Very
2
good.
or 3 deal breakers, no more than that.
Don't be too rigid. Yeah,
Not
great.
rigid.
We've got a lady here who's nearly 60, she says, "I'm looking for a serious long-term relationship with someone who wants to share their life with me. I don't feel comfortable with friends with benefits. I've met a few lovely men through dating sites who say they're looking for a relationship, but when it becomes a reality, they seem to back off. I wonder if I scare them off, because I don't have a problem expressing my emotions and making it clear what I'm looking for in a relationship."
You might have gone a bit masculine energy. It could be that when you're putting when you're setting your stall out on your date, like, I'm looking for this kind of relationship. I want to be committed, sort of within a year. You need to give people time to find out for themselves. I don't believe in friends with benefits. And in fact, the biggest book that I've written is called Not Tonight, Mr. Right. And it's all about why it doesn't really work to have casual sex when you're looking for something serious, because I don't believe in casual sex at all. So what I want you to do is set your own boundaries, but don't scare people off by telling them out in this very forthright way. Just know to yourself that you're not going to date anyone for longer than a year if there's no commitment. That's your boundary. You don't have to tell people that. That's something that you'll do, and that protects you. Or don't spend time with people who say things like, "I'm not looking for a serious relationship." I mean, if someone said that, then they're not. So get rid of them. Go into dating with your private boundaries. You don't have to advertise them. Just know that they're going to keep you safe, and then the wrong people will weed themselves out.
Fantastic. Got one from Sean. Sean is 63 and he confides, "I'm unsure about dating again. I'm not sure if I've got anything to offer in a new relationship."
Right, this goes really well. I want you to read the next question out, because so Sean is
Yep.
saying he's not sure that he's got anything to
Okay.
offer. And
The
then
next,
Jules, what does she say?
okay, well, the next question is from M, and M, who's 55, says, I've been independent in everything I managed to do, mostly, but I'm tired and I'm wishing someone is with me so that I don't need to struggle with everyday things like DIY, carrying compost, eating my meal alone, etc.
Sean, if you can carry a woman's compost, then you have stuff to offer in a new relationship. Dating after 50 isn't about sweeping people off their feet or providing financially or making babies. It's about companionship, making each other's lives more fun, happier, more lighthearted, easier. And there will be people who will be delighted with you if you can just carry their suitcase when you go on holiday together. Please don't think that you have to have a million things to offer in a relationship, because dating at this age is much more gentle and there's much less pressure on you to be that kind of provider.
Yeah, fantastic. Just 3 more questions and then we're coming to an end. This is from KWCAT, Quacat, who's female and 52, and she shares with us, I feel invisible and it's frustrating as I'm a dynamic, outgoing person. What strategy do you suggest to help me meet more people socially? I moved to where I am now in England a couple of years ago, and despite being a very friendly person, my social network is very limited. Thank you.
It's hard. Making new friends after 50 is hard because you don't have the children. You're not like doing the school runs. You're not in that kind of environment. What I would say is, one, think about the live events. I know I keep pushing them, but seriously, you would have, as a dynamic, outgoing woman, you would have so much fun at the live event. Even if you just met a woman who you could share your online dating experiences and like have fun together, and then you'll meet her friends, and you know the circle will widen. But also try volunteering. Volunteering is proven to lower depression, and I'm sure you're not suffering from depression, but if you were starting to feel a bit lonely and isolated, then volunteering has been shown to cheer you up in that way. And I found that some of the loveliest people in the world do volunteering. I do a bit of volunteering in my hometown here, and seriously, those men are lovely. So I would do volunteering and get out to dating live events.
Yeah, and you're going to meet kind people. For me, kindness is kind. There's nothing to beat kindness. Okay, question from Nancy. Nancy's 50. Is there really a relationship that has give and take and a balance? And if so, what are the fundamentals to promote this from the beginning so that it stops the relationship pattern of being a giver and feeling not heard or listened to?
So you need to look for the micro clues. I always believe that everything you need to know about a relationship is there within the first 3 months. So spend those first 3 months not just trying to impress someone or show them how generous and kind and lovely you can be, but also spend a lot of time looking for clues about what they're going to be like longer term. So look for someone who doesn't just give you a present when you've given them a present, or look for someone who is a bit reluctant to pick up the bill, or look for someone who is only happy to come around to your house but doesn't want to take you out. Look for those little clues, and when you see one of those little clues, let that be a red flag to you. And maybe what this is, again, is like the feminine masculine thing we were talking about. Maybe you've been pursuing men, which is putting you in that kind of masculine energy, but really you want to be taken care of. So I would say follow through on that femininity from the beginning. Stop making things happen in your relationship. Just learn to receive what other people give you, and you won't feel so resentful either.
Yeah, fantastic. Final question for today, Kate. Helen, 59, wants to know, how can I meet a genuine man who wants a long-term relationship? I'm fed up with men who just want sex. Saying it like it is.
I really want to know what the men are thinking, the men in the audience, when they hear this question. Like, is it so wrong to want sex? Again, like, you don't have so if you're meeting people that just seem to want sex, it tells me that they're letting you know that in the first few messages, like maybe with some inappropriate photos, in which case report, block, tell the admin, or they're not making any effort at all when it comes to setting up a date with you. It's kind of like, well, what time can you come round to my house? Underwear not essential. Like, as soon as you get that clue that someone is only in it for sex, then that's a brilliant red flag for you, because it's not going to work. It's not going to work for you. So just literally drop them like a stone. Stop replying. And if they suddenly realise that the easy sex isn't on the cards, but actually they do think you're lovely, then they'll come back with a bit better offer. They'll kind of, sorry, I came on too strong. Let's take this a bit slower. Let me take you out for a drink or something like that.
Yeah.
But also make sure you're not accidentally looking like men have two presets when it comes to dating. They have short-term dating and long-term dating, and so there's been so much research on this. It's really interesting. If a man is in short-term dating mode, he would choose a partner based on how likely he thinks it is to get no strings attached sex with her, as opposed to a long-term dating partner who'll look for someone who seems more reserved and has a prettier face, bizarrely, due to the research. So make sure you're not accidentally giving off clues that you might be quite a sexual person initially. Keep your profile really quite neutral and modest, and then anyone who's just looking for sex will kind of think, oh, forget it, it's going to be like hard work, and then you'll meet someone who are in long-term dating mode.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kate. It's time to announce the results of our third and final poll. Who should pay on a first date, we asked you. Should you go Dutch or should the man pay? What do you reckon, Kate? Just out of interest.
It's not
fair putting you on the spot, but
I reckon it's going to be Dutch. I reckon.
Well, believe it or not, it's 50-50. 50% of you feel that the man should pay. 50% of you feel go Dutch. Extraordinary, huh? Do you have any? We've got no more questions, but any insights of yours on that?
There was some research that I read ages ago about like who should pay on the first date, and it said the more attractive someone is to someone on the date, the more likely they are to pay. So I kind of believe that whoever initiated the date should probably pick up the tab, and then like ideally maybe you can take it in turns for the next one. But if someone is reluctant to pay for you, and there's no reason why they should be, they're solvent, they could pay, they could buy you a coffee, and they're not, then I would take that as a tiny red flag. Don't be afraid to think someone who like me would probably have paid for something by now, because the research backs that up. And the more attractive someone is, the more likely they are to pay. So just bear it in mind.
Okay. Interesting point. Okay, Kate and everybody, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough, Kate, and to everybody for joining us. That is the end of a really illuminating hour, and I so hope that you've got lots of information and insights to take away with you. Can you just sum up very briefly, please, Kate, the main points we've covered today?
So briefly, take great photos as best as you can. Write a clear, light-hearted profile. Message everyone you like. Don't hold back. Message everyone. Don't be too fussy before you've met them in person, because you can't tell a physical attraction until you see them face to face. Don't agree to dates until you know the day, the time, and the venue, so you won't get bookmarked. And be optimistic. Remember, you're not trying to find like a million people to choose from. You just need to find the one person that's right for you.
Fantastic. And where can people find more about you if they'd like to?
So you just go to my website, so www.lovekatetaylor.com. And if I have spoken too quickly and you want me to send you like any of the points that I've covered tonight, then please just get in touch with me there.
You haven't spoken too quickly. You've been fantastic. Lovekatetaylor.com. What a great domain name. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and see you soon. Oh, bye.